I hope I'm audible. I hope I'm online. So please comment and let me know if I'm audible and online, so that we can start. Just comment here if I'm audible or not. Please come on chat and reply. Let me see if I'm audible or not. Okay, so I can see. So I can see I'm audible, and we can start now. So guys, as far as quant and strategy are concerned, we will start with the first lesson, which is simple equation, and then we will see what exactly we can do in this session. So simple equation as a chapter, or a way to start with quant is that in simple equation what exactly you need to study, that we will see, and we will see what are the basic concepts which you need to master while studying a particular chapter. These two things are our focus. And and exactly what happens in most of the cases, I see that you do not know that which chapters to target, what way we can target that, and that is a differentiating factor most of the time. So let's start. In quant, the first chapter is simple equation. I will take this as a first chapter. So what exactly you need to learn in this? Uh, the first concept which I can see in this chapter is, suppose you have been given an equation like 2x plus 3y equal to 60, some condition xy non-negative integer, and you need to find out number of solutions. Similarly, you might have another equation like 4x minus 17y equal to 1. You have been given a condition on x, like x is smaller than 1000, and you need to find out number of solution. So these are the questions which are very important here, because mostly in CAT, either in some form or other, these questions are asked. Another type of question that comes under simple equation is that, uh, is like, suppose you have been given sum of cost of 5 pencil, 3 eraser, and 10 sharpeners equal to something, and then you have been given 3, right, 3 pencil, 5 eraser, and some other, suppose 7 sharpeners price, and you have to find out price of 1 pencil, 1 eraser, and 1 sharpener. This is one of the other type of question which comes under this chapter. Other than this, you can also be asked to solve a system of equation like, suppose 2x plus 3y plus 5z equal to something, and then three equation of this sort, and you have to find out values of x, y, and z. This not necessarily could be a direct question, but could be an indirect question also, where you will be need to find this as part of some other question. You can also have to see the concept of, if there are two lines ax plus by plus equal to a1 b1 c1, and then a2x plus b2y equal to c2, then what are the conditions for which this system of equation will have no solution? Okay, so what condition we will have no solution for this, what condition we will have infinite solution of it, this, I mean, what is the relation between these coefficient A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, and C2. And in what scenario we'll have on one and only solution, only one solution. So these are in fact a very important aspects in terms of simple equation. Simple equation also kind of gives questions like this, like you have a currency named miso. So miso currencies, three denomination is given, like 1 miso, 10 miso, and 50 miso. And you have been asked in how many ways you can pay a bill of 107 miso. This would be one of the questions. So these are the different type of questions which are basically asked in CAT. And believe me, as far as I am concerned, as far as I have seen, time material and time handouts are the best source of materials for these kind of chapters, right? So whenever you are starting with this chapter, try to start with time booklet. Try to start with time handouts. They give very simple handout also, like some QA series. So these series are very wisely mapped with concept. So it will have one question from all the above concept, and you will be able to understand that concept very well by the by solving that question. And that helps, guys. If you do those 15, 16 questions and solve it, and you understand the concept and you revise it two times or three times, then that helps you in building your concept repository over the time. So that is very important aspect of your preparation, that what exactly you are following and how many times you're revising that content, because ultimately the syllabus is so huge that you will end up forgetting many things after 2 months, 3 months, if you do not revise, if you do not keep that in mind again and again. So that's one of the aspect of preparation which is very important, right? So we will move to the next chapter. I hope I'm audible, and you can comment and tell me if I'm audible or not. Just I'm taking a 1 minute pause here. Let's start again, and sorry for the interruption here. Guys, let's start. Sorry for the interruption. So, guys, next topic which we will be covering here, ratio, proportion, and variation. So, basically, in ratio, proportion, and variation, there are certain things which you need to take care of. So, what are those things which you need to take care while reading ratio, proportion, and variation? So, ratio, proportion, variation, may you have to see this certain things like now. सबसे पहले you have to understand the difference between ratio and proportion. What is ratio? Okay. After that, you need to understand certain aspects of different properties of ratio. So different properties of ratio and proportion, like suppose you have been given a particular ratio like A by B is smaller than 1. So what happens if we add a simple some positive quantity A plus X and B plus X, whether it be greater than A by B or whether it be smaller than A by B, that you need to understand. If A by B is greater than 1, what happens? If I add a positive quantity on the numerator and denominator, whether it becomes less than A by B or greater than A by B, you need to understand. Right? After that, you need to understand if I've been given A is to B, B is to C, C is to D, then how will I write this in a continued proportion like A is to B is to C is to D? Okay, this is one of the concepts that you need to take care. In terms of proportion, you have to understand you have been given A by B, C by D, then which method, like what will be the invertido relation, what will be the alternate Nando relation, what will be componendo relation. So this time, what we say componendo relation, what we say dividendo relation, and what we say componendo and dividendo relation. There is also componendo and dividendo relation. So these relations you need to understand with an example so that you can apply. And there are different properties of if you have been given A by B and C by D and E by F, right? You have been given all such things. They are all equal. Then what happens with A plus C plus E, B plus D plus F? These are the questions which are very important when it comes to what ratio proportion. Now, variation may you have to understand how many types of variations are there, and you have to do at least one question from each type. And what is direct variation? What happens in such case? What relation is followed? What happens in case of inverse variation? What are the relationships which is formed? I mean, how x1 is proportional to y1 or x1 is proportional to 1 by y1, that we have to see. What happens in case of joint variation? So how two quantities are related when we say joint variation is happening. So this is one of very important aspects. These all are basic concepts which you need to take care. And then CAT test you in different forms. Like the questions are related to like if you see the complex questions in ratio proportional variation, then the question will be like there are four persons and there will be distribution of certain things, maybe certain money or certain points. So these questions are very important in terms of uh, CAT. Also, you will find that consumption of petrol is dependent on certain factors like square of kilometer and some constant. So these are the basic questions which are very important, and you have to take care of ratio, proportion, and variation through that. First, complete all the concepts, and then try to do at least one or two questions from each of the area. Right? Let's move to next chapter, which is percentage, profit, loss, and partnership. So percentage, profit and loss, and partnership. So the percentage may it matters that how will you remember the percentages. I mean, in terms of ratio, how we remember the percentage. What exactly is 10%? What exactly is 20%? I mean, what is half? So half is 50%. 1 by 3 is 33.33%. 1 by 4 is 25%. So you need to understand till 1 by 25. So you need to have these all in your mind while solving problem. That makes your problem solving ability quite, it basically strengthens your ability to solve questions and convert every percentage in terms of ratios. Also, what happens when you have successive percentage changes like p% increase, then q% decrease, then p% increase, like that. So what happens in such cases? You have to take care of such questions. After that, there are questions like if you want to uh, spend same amount on sugar or any vegetable, the price has gone up by 20%. What rate consumption should be reduced so that your total expenditure is the same? Questions like that. Then then there are questions related to percentage points. How many percentage points change has happened over certain quantities? Then there are questions related to profit and loss. So profit and loss basically has most of the questions are typical questions like you can buy certain items in certain rupees and then you sell it in certain amount, and what are the profit percentage, loss percentage. Sometimes these quantities are given in terms of 5 pen is equivalent to some 6 pen selling price, 5 pence cost price is equivalent to 6 pence selling price, like that. So just master those all the concepts here. In terms of profit and loss, you will have to look at the concept of marked price, okay, discount and selling price. These are the very important concept when it comes to profit and loss concept. Also, there are certain variations of dishonest salesman where he, sells 1 kg but weighs only 900 gram, like that. And what kind of profit percentage he has or loss percentage he has, that you need to find. So basically those questions has to be taken care. Now partnership comes as the next topic. In partnership, what you need to take care is there are different situations given. So there will always be one or two or three partners, and they will invest certain sum of money or basically time. Time can also be seen as a resource. I mean, the effort they put into it. Okay. So what happens that how in what ratio basically the final profit will be distributed, that's mostly is to be seen. And if someone gets a fixed salary and then gets a profit percentage, so how in such cases we find out that how distribution of profit happens in such cases is very important in such questions, right? Now let's move to next set of questions. So simple interest and compound interest. So simple interest and compound interest. If I see here, तो सबसे पहला concept which you have to look into is the difference क्या है simple interest and compound interest में, what is the difference, ठीक है? Now how they change, I mean, like if I take some 110% of simple interest, so what happens to the amount in first year? What is the principal, what is the interest, and what is the final amount in case of simple interest in second year, third year, and in case of compound interest, what is the principal, interest, and final amount. That we need to seek to understand the concept. Also, you need to understand certain concept like effective rate of interest, nominal rate of interest. So what is nominal rate of interest? Interest. What is effective rate of interest? These terms are to be well understood. Also, what happens? How will you be able to find out present value under simple interest? So I have a certain sum, and obviously I need to find out present value of that under simple interest. So what formula I need to use? How will I find out present value under compound interest? How can I find if I've taken a loan and I want to repay it in equal installment? So in what way or in what mechanism I repay the loan in equal installments? That you need to see, right? Like you have to give the same money. Suppose you have taken a loan for 10 years and you want to, pay the same amount E in every year to repay the loan. So in these questions, what will that amount be? These are the important questions, and that some variation of those questions will come. Next chapter I'm taking is average, mixture, and allegation. So this chapter takes its roots from average concept and weighted average concept. But what mostly is very confusing in these chapters is that people use, suppose you mix a 20% solution with a 30% solution, you get a 25% concentration solution. You have been asked in what ratio they are asked to be mixed to get that. If I have been given that there are 5 liters of this, then what will be the, what will be the amount of second solution? Now, what happens when we try to apply these concepts without understanding the basics? It becomes very difficult and it becomes very confusing to find out these arrow-based methods or line-based methods to see key, how to get a solution. So, my suggestion is to first understand the concept in the most basic way, then only get to these shortcut methods. I see many students applying that without even understanding what exactly the method means. So here, one of the material which I come across, which was very helpful for me, and I used to have a lot of difficulty in this chapter, was test funda. Test funda basic mathematics. So test funda basic material of quant is a good material if you are like very weak in quant, if you don't understand most of the concepts are very well explained in that with simple examples and basics. So first phase of test funda basic material can be done if you are very weak in mathematics, weak in quant. I mean, they have done a good job of putting each and every question, basic question, mapping them with concepts, and giving the exercises which map to concepts. So which is very good. You can start with this if you're very weak in quant. Otherwise, time material is also very well written and have questions are very good, and even the handouts are really very good. Let me tell you, around 80 to 90 handouts are there for quant only, and they all are class. They all should be made. They should be made at least twice, thrice, and I assure you that you will never get less than 99 point access if you do that at least in quant. Okay, so different mixtures. What happens in the way mixtures are, kind of. Uh, like some group of person are mixed with some other group of person, average is given of one group of person, average is given of other group of person, whatever in such cases. Now two kind of mixtures, like two kind of rice, some costing 10 rupees per kg, some rice costing 15 rupees per kg are mixed. So on what ratio this should be mixed, like those kind of question you need to see. Also, if you kind of you take a solution of milk and water, suppose, and what you do, you take a certain q volume out of it, volume of this, and replace this with water. What happens in such cases? So you have a solution, you take a certain quantity out each time and replace this with another quantity of pure water or something. What happens in such cases is very important concept in such scenarios. Next is time and work. So टाइम एंड वर्क में सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट ये है कि आपको यही समझना है कि टाइम एंड वर्क कौन से assumptions पे काम करते हैं. टाइम एंड वर्क kind of works on different assumptions like all are working in the same rate or all are doing it the same efficiency. ठीक है, सबसे important aspect that is that the persons which are involved can work at same efficiency, they can work with the same rate, or they can even work with the different rate also. So it might happen that P is doing the work in 5 days and Q is doing the work in 10 days, so they obviously have same or different efficiency. But if I say 10 men do a certain task in 5 days, 20 men do a certain task in 10 days, so I am assuming here that all the men are working in the same rate, right? So here the questions are basically, you have been given that A does a work in some 10 days, B works at some days, and you have been asked to find out A plus B in how many days. Or similar thing in case of ABC, like you have been given that A and B is doing a work in certain days, B and C in certain days, C and A in certain days. You have to find out A plus B plus C कितने दिन में उस काम को करेगा. Or you have been given that 15 men work 8 hours per day to complete a task into 20 days. Now, 10 men working 9 hours, how much time they will take? Or you have, suppose you have been given that there are two persons who are different efficiency, like P is working and taking a work in 5 days, Q is efficiency is twice of P. In how many days will P plus Q complete the same task? Or 5 women or 10 men does some work in 5 days, right? So in how many days 10 women will complete the work? So these kind of questions can come in uh, examination, or it could happen that 25% started working. They worked uh, first day, all of them worked all 25. Second day, one person left, so 24 worked. Third day, third one person left, so 23 work. How many days work of, suppose I mean how many days or 210 unit of work will get completed, like that. So you need to take care of all those situations, make all those concepts, understand what the cases are involved in that, but do that in a way that you are not very formula dependent. You have to do it in a way that you understand the concept and can apply it from scratch. That is the main criteria here. I hope this is clear. Then you can comment and let me know. Next chapter is time and work. So time and work में सबसे important obviously is, sorry, time and distance में सबसे important concepts are the three important criteria, that time is proportional to 1 by speed. ठीक है, और distance is equal to speed into time. तो अगर ये distance constant है तो what will happen, time is proportional to 1 by speed. ठीक है, अगर two bodies have same speed, so distance covered will depend only on time. If they move for same period of time, then distance covered is proportional to speed. So these are basic formula on which most of the questions are related. Now you have questions to find average speed. ठीक है, ये question आता है. Then you have questions like you have to find out a certain person starts P hours late and reaches Q hours. P hours late he starts and U kilometer per hour pace traveling. Another person few hours late, excuse me, few hours late, and he is traveling as B kilometer per hour. What time they reach? What is the time difference in which they reach? Take at these questions. These are very important. So, like in between 2 points, this person starting from here, this person starting from here, what point they will meet, or what point again they meet and then start traveling again, to what point they will meet second time. These are the questions, really important questions from the perspective of cat. Now, relative speed. So, relative speed is like a person, suppose a thief has is just escaping from a police. His speed is suppose v km per hour, and then police's speed is 2 km per hour, but the police has started around 15 minutes late. And how many time you can catch the thief? Such question, or the questions of boat and stream, or the question of escalators. Find out total length of escalator, or two persons are there, the ratio of their speed has to be found out. Those, or the trains, two trains moving in opposite direction. Okay, those speeds they have to pass a pole of certain length. These questions are important. Then you have questions related to races in linear track. So obviously in linear track it all depends on the ratio of speed. In circular track, when will they meet? First time, second time, third time, fourth time, like that questions. And how much time they will meet for the first I mean time taken to meet for the first time taken to meet at the starting point, time taken to meet the second time. Three people are running, all such variations. Okay. So these are very important concepts. This has to be completed. And then we get another concept which are clocks. So it's a very big chapter in terms of, yeah, clocks. May they have been given, they will ask you to find out at what time between suppose 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, two hands will be at an angle of 30 degree to each other. What will be the angle between the hands when the time is 4:40 p.m. So those questions you have to take care in the cases. And this is an exhaustive chapter, but it will help you a lot. You will use a lot of ratios here, sometimes percentage also. You will basically you will have a lot of clarity over different situations if you solve all these questions. So stick to either. If you are very weak, start with testing the material, basic material. Okay. I also like the way Daksh Jila Sikshak Chuck has made the videos. Now they are split and there are two groups. So there is one group which is simply writes as Sikchak, and the another group is TSZ. This is where you study. So I will put the link in the group so you can. So second wala group has given most of the videos free. There all the videos are free on YouTube, and they have done a very good job, kind of collating all kind of videos on numbers, geometry. They are discussing the concept in much detail. It is very difficult to discuss things in this much depth and detail, and I think you should give it a try in case you're not. Uh, I mean, you are weak in each topic or something, and then you can start with time material, which I think is the best material in the market as far as quant is concerned, on DILR in fact. So you have to then do is calculate of it, take any second hand material, and every year there is a different, like the first year they will have some material, second year the questions will change, material will change, third year the material will change, questions will change, and fourth year they will mostly repeat the material of first year. So they have three sets which they keep rotating, and you can take any of the sets and do it. The questions are consistent, the difficulty level is same, but the real difference comes when you do the handouts. Handouts are very well, very beautifully mapped to the concepts, and you have to, kind of do it to see it. You might be thinking that you know all these questions, but let me tell you one thing: unless and until you are able to solve the question, even in the sleeping state of your mind, do not take that you know concept. So if you're sleeping and if you ask you a question about three people racing in a circular track, and I give you a situation, and if your mind can race and think about the situation, find out the clarity between different concepts, then only I can say that that concept is already taken care. Otherwise, do not get into what. dream kind of situation that you know all the concepts. People get very fast into those situations, and they end up winning their paper. It's important to have a very fair evaluation of your preparation. Never ever think that you are prepared unless and until you can, you know, list down all the concepts of that chapter single-handedly. Suppose you are sitting at a place for 1 hour and you can list down all the arithmetic concepts. Okay, so you can solve all the question by, in a conceptual way, and you understand all the basic questions of that chapter. So unless and you have all these three things done, never think that you are done or through with a particular chapter. So I have to keep this short today. Let in so many people are asking for geometry and numbers. So let's take geometry at least. Let me touch upon a bit on geometry. I will continue this series again and do the rest of the chapters. In terms of geometry, what I have observed is that geometry may the most of the question, at least in CAT and that, revolves around two-dimensional geometry. So two-dimensional geometry, say my meaning is that it revolves around angles, basic proportionality constant concept, angles may alternate angle, corresponding angle, all those things. Then altitude theorems, centroid theorems, all properties of these, orthocenter, incenter, right, median. Okay, so all these things are important. Angle bisectors, all these concepts and their related theorems like internal angle bisector theorem or external angle bisector theorem, all these are very important in terms of CAD. They ask again and again from these internal, external, all such things. Then comes out to be Pythagoras theorem. Even triangle may the condition when ABC will form sides of a triangle, that suppose a perimeter of 14 is given, how many triangles are possible? Those questions are also very important concepts. These are very important concepts. You have to put a lot of time to these concepts, and there are so many questions. I mean, just take any book in the market, whether it be Arun Sharma, Nisit K. Sinha, the Sarvesh Verma, time material, test funda, anything you take, total Gada's book of geometry, anything you take, and you will find a lot of questions on these topics. Do them, kind of find and do all these questions. Now, sum of angles in terms of polygon, okay? Number of diagonals in terms of polygon, okay? Quadrilateral, rhombus, their properties, right? Parallelogram, all these properties are very important, and different questions come from these. And geometry is one topic where if you're not clear with the concept, you will not be able to solve any question, because the questions are very different and each question is quite different from the other question, and the concepts can only be applied if you know the basic concept of these angles, these theorems, different basic theorems. So it's important to know that. Again, if you move to circle, there are theorems related to tangents, there are theorems related to seconds, the theorem related to angle formed at center, different situations, the theorem related to direct common tangent, the questions which are related to sector, segment. So these all questions you have to do them again and again to understand the concept. what are involved. Then have questions in which the figures are like this overlapping. You have to find out the common region. You have been given something like that. You have to find out this reason. So these all questions are very important questions from the perspective of CAT, and you have to make them. You have to at least solve a particular set of questions to cover all these. Okay. I will concentrate a lot on two-dimensional geometry if I'm preparing for CAT rather than three-dimensional. Three-dimensional is also important, but two-dimensional is very greatly important for, is like so important for CAT. So this is what in a nutshell you should read in geometry. Uh, my aim is to cover most of the concepts in this channel. I also am trying to have a setup in which I can teach in person. I mean, I have a board and I can come in as a person and teach. But till then, that setup might take some time. So I will continue to teach with this pen and tablet, and whatever way I can help, I will try to help. So for now, I will end this session till this topic, and rest of the topics I would like to come up in a more streamlined manner. I would prepare PPTs, and we'll have a fixed agenda. Today I came without much of an agenda, and I just listed down whatever concepts came in my mind, but I covered all the concepts, so don't worry on that. Have a clear cut form agenda, that what you want to read in this particular chapter, what are the concepts, how many concepts I have to prepare, how many questions I'm going to do. You cannot do infinite number of questions, you cannot do thousands of questions. So have a limiting boundary set. Unless and until you do that, your preparation will never be on track. So please do that. This much time I will give in preparing the concepts, this much in practice question, this much in mocks, and that's how you learn. And then you should have time to revise the concepts again and again. So not never have it, I will do it once and I will go in the CAT and I will get 99.99. That doesn't happen. Okay, so that's all.